Right then, people. Respect. As you sat here in Teddy's room, I just thought I'll talk about this. So when I was in H&P Stocken, I was the chapel orderly, and just like in prison in general, right? You got to be there. You can't go home. You do your time, do the crime. But I feel in prison, I would say, from my experience with the 6-7 years behind the door, keep having a good job in there, because you have to work when you're in prison. There's work in prisons. So H&P Stocken, I spent 3 years in, and it was a working C-cat. So you got levels in prison. You got A-cat, B-cat, C-cat, D. D-cat's an open prison. C-cat generally is like a working prison. B-cat's like, so say if, let me break it down. So it's the severity of your sentencing. So for me, personally, second strike GBH, they put me in Bullenden, which is my local prison. And I've spoken about Bullenden before. So I was in Bullenden for 6 months, and then they come to me one day to the door, they said, "You're moving." I said, "Oh, where?" They said, "You're going to H&P Ramby, which is in Nottingham." Now, I'm from the south, right? And so this is in Nottingham. So this is up north to me. Anyway, they said, "You're going Ramby." I said, "Oh, okay, get my head around it." So I was on the wing at that point, A wing in Bullenden, and I was settled with a lot of my own community on there. So it's easy for me. As mad as it sounds, in prison when you get comfortable, your time gets a lot easier. And that's how it was with that one. And I've done a video on Bullenden as well. I'm not going to link them to this video. I would just say go on my channel and you'll see these anyway. This is the 5th part I've done on prison, my own experience on my channel. So yeah, so we go from Bullenden. They said, "You're going to Ramby." We didn't go Ramby. I was asking the boys, "Where's Ramby? I don't know if I've met in my life." I ended up going H&P Stocken, right? So madness. So when we're that, because when you transfer, they tell you pack your stuff, you got to go. Then you go down to like the court bit, where downstairs in the prison, where boys trying to go to court. So I'm on the other waiting bit, getting transferred, and they went, "Oh, you're actually going to H&P Stocken now." And in my head I was like, where the hell is that? And at this point, guys, I've already been sentenced, so I got 3 years EPP, which is extended public protection. In another sense, you have a longer licence period when you come out of prison. So I'll talk about that a bit more in a bit. So I've got sentenced. I'm buzzing because I'm like second strike GBH, 3 years, I'm over the moon. Because my sentence was GBH with intent, the first one. The second one was GBH with intent. Then it dropped at the last second to GBH. And it goes on terms and circumstances why it goes down, which is the severity of the violence used. Weapon or, because my first crime, as I've spoken about, GBH intent, and I stabbed the gentleman 5 times. I regret all of my crimes. I've always pled guilty. I've only been jailed twice. So the second strike, GBH, it was actually a fight, knocked the man through the bush, etc., etc., using my feet to kick him. They said that was a weapon, my feet. Now, I was like in my head to myself, I'm not a footballer, so how can my feet be a weapon? Because like footballers' feet are weapons basically, because that's their work. But yeah, it's a long time ago, guys. We're talking about 2016, yeah. So I actually went back into jail New Year's Eve 2015. I was in the police cell for 3 days as usual. They's always done to me. And then we swiftly moved to Bullenden. Right. So we're moving. I'm downstairs. They said, "You're going to Stocken." Hours and hours on the bus. So Bullenden is in Oxfordshire. Stocken is Oakham Stretton, right? Miles and miles away. And when you're on a sweat van, they do take the long way. Generally they take the back roads. Sweat van is when you get transferred from prison to prison, or you go from court to prison, yeah? You know them sweat box things where people can see you, but you can't see out. No, wait. You can see outside, but it's all tinted, but people can't see you. So you can wave at somebody and they don't even know you're in the van. And I remember on the bus ride to Stockton thinking, Jesus, I don't even know where it is. At that point, they only tell you going to the prison, they don't give you an address or nothing. Yeah, so I've landed in Stocken hours later. And the induction wing in Stocken was H wing when I was there. So I've landed there. Luckily there was 6 or 7 boys from Bullingdon going there as well. So we were half chatting in the little bit where you get transferred, and was like Stocken. We never heard of it because I'm from the south, and in a sense this is Midlands, so this is north-ish to me. So anyway, we got there. I met this fella called Neil. Eventually, because when you first land there, you get single cell. This were conditions. You could either move to a normal wing, because induction wing generally is the easiest wing in prison. You're getting used to it. You do induction, which means like people try and tell you what it's like in the jail. They learn you how to use application forms. But for me, because I've already been in jail, I've been through the script and I was bored. But you have to sit in there and they pay you, right? So anyway, I met Neil. We've shared a cell together. Yeah, respect guys, as I was saying, so around this time, 2015, 2016, the smoking was still happening in prisons, yeah? There was no smoking ban. It was on the cards for years, and as Mr. XL Audit Steph, my good mate, knows, for years and years they were on about it. We used to listen to National Prison Radio. They always used to speak about it. Yeah, big up guys, I'm still in little Teddy's room. Every morning he loves his old woody, and old Buzz and that. But yeah, so me and Neil have doubled up together. Now, I generally, my first time inside, I did share cells, but because I'm high risk, generally you shouldn't they don't make you share a cell. Bullingdon don't care about all of that. You have to fight for your rights, which I did. So, yeah, we doubled up, me and Neil, for about 18 months, me and him are together. Now, at that point, I was going home March 2019, right? So I had a couple of years left. By the time Neil left, so we stayed on H-Wing together for about 8 months. Very easy when you're on induction wing. You see so many new people coming and going, and you know, all of this stuff. And we were next door to the showers, so we'd go to work and we'd have we'd get straight into the shower first pop, which in prison's the biggest nemesis, is getting a shower and a phone call. Yeah, so we moved from H. Randomly they come to us, they said, in the morning, you're going to L wing, sharing a cell. We said, no, you said you could let us stay on this induction wing if we shared a cell. Someone else needs it, higher risk, or generally in jail they're called debt heads. They owe money, so they will take the priority over you, or whatever. And sometimes double cells, which is a bunk bed, as a man on his own can take it because he's high risk. But anyway, we moved to Alvin. We were both pissed, yeah, drunk. Now, I don't drink or do drugs, but a thing in prison called hooch. So someone was making it on the wing. I think it was tenner they wanted. Very dear, very expensive. I bidded the man down. I can't remember how much it was. It was a massive 2 or 3 litres worth. We got absolutely smashed out already. It was a brilliant laugh. We used to sit there playing Monopoly. The game Monopoly, literally. And just trying our best. You know. And it's hard when you're sharing a cell because it's 2 fully grown men, you know, shitting on top of each other. So you have that respect. In some prisons, you don't even have a curtain to protect the toilet. Now, for H&P Stocken, if I remember H-Wing, had like a little barn door, and then the toilet was there. If one of us going to toilet, because if we were banged up, we were not allowed out of the cell to work or whatever, you need a toilet, you go to toilet. So we used to make it really simple and relaxed. We'd say, look, get an insect stick, which used to light, get the smell away, or orange peel, or burned toilet paper, so the smell would go away. Now, me and Neil we were so good, we get on so well, that we used to like throw things at each other, you know, out of banter, and it was pure love. But anyway, yeah, so eventually Neil got released. He went home. I was still in, I had about a year and a bit left, and I was gutted because we spent so much time together. The time just went like that, you know. And around that time, I think the job I was doing was like, what was it in Stocken, what I first did? I ended up doing DHL in Stocken, and the church job, but there was one before that. I think it was like putting hoovers together or something, you know, like a hoover was broken, you had to fix it up and whatever. Well, I was very bored of that. With my ADHD, I need things I can focus on and not get bored and do it quick. So DHL was good because you're, which is a canteen that the boys get in there, and we were packing for other prisons as well. So we would organise their canteens. I think it was H&P Gartree, H&P Leicester, and a few others. I can't remember all the names, but if I remember them, I will maybe do another part on this. But the short and sweet is, guys, met some fantastic people in there. I'm from the south. I'm Gypsy breed, and I actually got on really well with boys from Nottingham, Leicester, and the first time in my life I've ever met people with a different accent to me. Because for a lot of my life, I spent it with my own community, and I'm glad I did. Mix and socialise with other groups. There was a lot of travellers in there, in HMP Stocken, and it was fantastic. So anyway, Neil's left. We went from L Wing, which was a shithole, for 2 weeks, and we moved to I Wing in HMP Stocken, which was like a drug and alcohol recovery wing. Now, I don't drink or do drugs, but in prison, if you want an easy life, you go on wings that have showers in the cell. Now, I Wing had showers in the cell. So we've done loads of courses just to get over there. Talk a lot of crap just to do the courses to get the cell. So me and Neil were on I Wing, in the double sharing, and I was getting a bit agitated. I was like, I do want my own space. But the cells in I Wing, when we went over there, because it was a new wing around that time, I think it was 217 time 218, near the end of 217 coming up to 18, because I left Stocken in December 218, but I landed there in June 216, so I think I did 2 years, about 2.5 years in there. So yeah, anyway, Neil went home. I think it was about, my dates might be all over the place, May 2018. You remember, guys, we're in May 2022 now. Been out a long time. I had the battle with not seeing my child, Gypsy Jr. His mum didn't let me see him for many years. Since I've been out nearly 4 years, I've been seeing him every week. So that's fantastic. I made many mistakes. I've always pled guilty to my crimes, and they've been violent crimes. 2 prison sentences. I talked about this in depth, but I just thought I'd end it with this chapter. This is the 5th part, right? So Neil went home. We're in I Wing. I'm in a double cell. Now, here's the problem. I'm in a double cell on my own, which means the cellmate's coming in to live with me. The officers have come to me and said, look, Mr. Ayres, we're going to put somebody in with you. I said, enough, I've had enough, I'm gone. And around this time, the smoking ban was happening. It was the early signs. Wing by wing in Stocken, they were doing a smoking ban. So for instance, I Wing, I was on, we were in zones, not landings. So there'd be like 10 of us in a zone instead of a landing. So, and then there'd be a cage at the end of the wing. So it was a very easy atmosphere, very relaxed. A lot of boys on that wing were settled, long-termers, a lot of lifers, and they were just trying to keep their head down, do their time, and move on from a C eventually to get to open conditions, which is DCAT, and progress to the system and go home eventually. So anyway, they come to me, Mr. Ayres, someone's coming in. I said, no thank you, I'm going. I'll go on a different wing then. K Wing in Stocken at that time was the last wing to go non-smoking. So I said to the officer, put me on K Wing. He come in the cell, he goes, you ain't got a choice. I said, do not get in my fucking face, mate. And around this time, guys, I didn't have long left. So if it was May 18, I had 10 months left, so I was leaving. So I couldn't afford no drama, no stress, but I had to stand up for my rights. And this is what really got me into auditing, the stand up for the rights. But anyway, yeah, so eventually they said, look, okay. I said, I want a single cell. So luckily I got one on K Wing, but the officers had to threaten me, I stood my ground or whatever. And I am going to audit this prison very soon, guys, HMP Stocken. I've got a lot of stories to tell about this place, a lot of pain, not just from me, from the boys on the wing, which I experienced. A lot of IPP prisoners suffering, never knowing when they're coming home, and it's very disgusting, and I will focus on this more. So I've moved to K Wing, I'm smoking, then the ban's totally hit. If you're seen, you have a 3-month period where, because it's off your shopping list, the canteen, you've got 3 months, and if you have any tobacco products in your possession, it's extra days. I carried on smoking probably till, I think it must have been the end of 218, as much as I could. Then the prices were getting ridiculous. I think when I was leaving, it was getting like 4 or 5 quid a roll up, and it was too dear. Anyway, I went from K Wing to a single cell. I started going a bit downhill because I wanted to get out of there. When the ban hit, I knew HMP Berwyn, the new super prison, was just opening. So I asked to go there, put a transfer in. I got accepted. They delayed it. I was kicking off. I was like, I've had enough now. Smoking ban was really hitting me heavy. Not seeing my child, and there was a lot going on, and it was a long-term thing to do, especially me just in the 5 years just before that. I was doing some long time. Immaturity, all of my 20s in there. I'm 30 this month, guys, so that was all my 20s, yeah. Met a lot of great fellas though, and around that time as well, there was a microwave and a toaster on the end of the landings, and that was the one thing I'd never seen in prison before. And then eventually, like everything does in prison, the boys break it, or you know, the screws get spiteful and things happen, and it's all a psychological game in prison. Screws hitting your door, spinning your cell random times. I've got all of that. I never done drugs, I never deal drugs, but they always used to put me under suspicion, like I was doing something wrong. And I do believe that was racism, and I was generally a well-mannered prisoner in their eyes. My prison number was A5860CR. I remember that off my head like it was nothing. So yeah, done the K-Wing move, got accepted for Berwyn. They were messing about. I said, I miss I-Wing, I want to go back on there to the screws on K-Wing. They said, no, you're staying where you are. I said, well, I'll just kick off then. I'll go on a hunger strike. And what I did, guys, madness, I went on a hunger strike. Now, with the hunger strike, you basically go for your meals at lunch and dinner in prison, right? Not all the prisons, some are locked down, they come to your door. But in Stocken you did. You had a key to your door as well. One lock, and then the screws would have the ultimate lock at the bottom, where once they've shut it, you can't get out. So what happened is, yeah, so I've done the hunger strike. I had irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, got diagnosed in there. I said to them, the prison food is going to be very, very bad stomach, and it was, and it's been proven to. Anyway, short and sweet is, I wasn't doing a real hunger strike. I had oats and protein shake in my cell, but on my table, and I made it look like I had no food. So the screws kept coming to me going, you're not going to get your food? I said, no, fuck the food, throw it on the floor. I was starving, obviously, because I was only eating oats and protein. Because I was a bit chubby, I literally stopped eating prison food. My belly stopped, the swollenness, because it used to swell a lot, went down. And I was generally losing weight anyway. So they didn't know that I was doing this, because I used to eat slyly. And short and sweet is, canteen day was once a week in prison, right? Your shopping day. So I said to him, look, I went to get the canteen. Screws went, whoa, you're on a hunger strike. I said, I completely give up on the hunger strike. I want the canteen. About 50 quid's worth of shopping. Got all that, and they said to me, look, you need to work. It's a working prison. There's a job come up for you. I said, what's that then? They said, you want to go back to DHL? I said, no, thank you. I said, I want to work. They said, because I used to go to church regularly. They said, yeah, so that's what I was saying, guys. I worked in DHL, but the thing is, in prison in DHL, they used to let you have a coffee, all right, for free, but you used to have to wear a stupid uniform, which was a yellow jumper and white trousers. And they used to generally strip search you, not when you went in to work. You had to wear the boots as well and leave all your kit like on your designated little thing. So anyway, it's all shopping in there, isn't it? So boys are going around eating the chocolates and things that you've not seen for a long time. And people shopping, and I see boys open up a can of drink and duck in your arm and drink it because the cameras, and there was outside workers, DHL workers, used to stand there to watch you do your job. Anyway, one day they said to me, you can't sit down. I said, that's it, I quit. Because I was there, working there for years, and you know, it's just a disgrace. So this job come up, chapel orderly. Now, I was going to church regularly, I got baptised, and I've never really been a religious man. Maybe the family, but there's always been the spiritual side. But to commit to religion, and especially in prison, the majority of religion that I see was Muslim. There's nothing against the Muslim community. I met some fantastic friends of mine that were Muslims, Jewish, Christians, Catholic, Sikhs. For me, I don't look at you as a religion, I look at you as a person. How you treat me is how I treat you. So yeah, going to church regularly. Anyway, the vicar went to me one day, do you want to work in here? Because my mate Jason was the old chapel orderly, and he was about to go to an open prison, a DCAT. So someone had to take the job. I said, it'd be an absolute honour, Reverend Tim. And I took the job. I can't remember how long I was doing it, maybe a year, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm honoured, and I took this home with me. And you know how they treated me like a human being. The Imam, which is the Muslim leader, the Catholic priest, the vicar, the Sikh leader, the Jewish leader. They're all beautiful, lovely, holy people, and the experience they give me and the wisdom I carry with me to this day, and I want to thank them all for this. And when I audit H&P Stocken, I will talk more in depth about all the stories I've got. I see a lot, guys. Being a church man as well, you meet all sorts. So if someone gets married inside prison, I will be, as the chapel orderly, I would bring them the coffee and tea and biscuits. I actually see a guy and his wife in a separate room around the corner in the church bit, because there was loads of rooms when you worked in the church, multi-faith room, and for instance, on a Monday the Sikhs would have a religious service, so I'd have to give them tea, coffee, biscuits, and hand them to the boys in the jail. And you know, and Friday would be Catholic, Sunday would be Christian, so I'd always have to do tea, biscuits, and coffee. And it was an honour to work behind that counter. But the vicars, the imams, they always used to be like, never swearing, very calm, and being in that atmosphere really helped me, guys. I felt I had a lot of anger, and it soothed me. And me getting baptised as well, it really did help, because I didn't believe at all, but it did really help. And you know, it's going to be hard to go back there and audit it, because I've audited basically every prison I've been in now, which is Bullingdon, Aylesbury, Reading and Coldingley, and Stocken's the last one, because it's that was the prison I spent the longest in through my whole 6-7 year behind the door journey of prison from 2012 to 2019. I will do it. I'm not going to say too much on this video, what I'm going to say on the H&P Stocken audit, but it's going to be an hard one to do. I think it's going to be a long audit, but I do feel I've got to give people justice I live with and tell their stories about what I see in them, what they went through in there. Not all bad, a lot of good as well, so I will praise when it's good, and I'll just be honest and do it. I do want to say, guys, this will be the last sit down talk about prison, because it's like when I talk about it, it unloads a lot of pain maybe from the prison memories and that bitterness. Even though I tried my best to be happy every day in there, you're very bitter because you want to go home, you want to see your children grow up, but you live with regret because of the mistakes you made. But I will say, guys, every crime I've ever done, I've pleaded guilty, and I have felt guilt. I may have been extremely violent in the past, but I try my best, and I do have empathy for people and for victims of crime. And I've done a lot of courses in prison. Did I really listen? Yes. Was I open? Yes. Did they help? No. One, for instance, victim awareness, which is like every Tuesday, 6 weeks, you'd sit down in the church and you'd watch a victim's story, or you'd learn more about empathy, or, you know, and we met a real victim of crime. There's a group of us in the circle of the chairs, and this lady, she got robbed by this guy, and he was on heroin, and she forgived him. And it was very big for me, like, to understand that a woman would forgive a man for robbing her, and she didn't want no revenge. And since her forgiving the man, they worked together in helping people with letting go of things, and you know, forgiving others and then forgiving themselves. And it's a big message, and the vicar taught me a lot, and the imam, and many great religious leaders, and I want to thank him for all of that. And the help they do in prison is very underrated. They're very lovely, godly people, whatever religion they are, they're people, and they're amazing at what they do. And it's going to be a shame, because when you audit a place, you generally get a bit of aggression. Now, it might be hard for me because they might recognise me at that prison, how long I spent there, and I might be angry with that certain officer, for instance, what I might have seen him done or say, or I might be happy about from that officer. So it's going to be a good experience to go out and do it. We are on May 22 now. I do believe I should go there next month, which will be June, and do Stocken, which is in Leicestershire. I think it comes at Oakham, Stretton. I remember it off my head, LE15DZRD, that's the postcode, because I used to write a lot of letters to my family, and you always have to put that on the front of the letter when you write letters. Yeah, so it's hard, guys, to talk it through, because I lived it, and I think you're on autopilot mode in jail, and you don't want to think too much about too far ahead in jail. You have to take it day by day, try your best, keep your head down, For me personally, I've never done drugs. I don't get angry at people if they've done it. Everyone's doing their thing to get through the time. I try not to be too judgmental, because then I get judged back. And especially if you've been baptised or any religion, you should try and help people, not put them down. Now, I did see a lot of IPP boys in there, and one of my mates in there, he actually got out, and he went to me, "Dan, I got my parole, mate." He said, "I'm fucking 10, 12 years over my tariff. So say if he got 3 years, he's 15 years beyond the door. He's give up at that point." He goes, "I can't believe I'm going home, Dan." I said, "Do you think you'll be alright?" He said, "Yeah." And you know what? It was emotional for me, because I hugged him, and I'm very proud of him. And you know, there's a lot of boys in the system now with the IPP sentence, which is an absolute disgrace. It's inhumane. Generally, say if you get a time of 2-3 years, you would do, on a normal sentence, you do half, then you do half on licence when you come out of prison. IPP boys and girls would get, say, 2 years tariff, and then up doing 10, 12 years, lose the marbles, never know when they're going home, and suffering constantly every day. Prison's hard enough, let alone not knowing when you're going home. And I'm going to fight this year, guys, for the IPP sentence. It was abolished in 2012 by David Blunkett, who brought it in, and we've still got over 2,000 IPP prisoners in the system now, and we're in May 2022. I have a story on my channel, Aaron's story, about the IPP sentence. It's his sister Sherry who talks about it. It's an absolute disgrace. I really, really do feel for the boys and girls that got it, and the Gypsy Auditor nearly got it himself. You know, my first sentence, and you know, it's really hard. And listen, I've been out of prison nearly 4 years, guys. I was focused when I was inside. I was like, I'm never going back in. I made my mistakes, try and learn from myself and from others with the same experience, the fellow gentlemen inside the system, not the officers. I'm all about the boys inside, like I was. I don't judge every officer and say they're all terrible, because I did meet a few good, but the majority are bad. And I'm not being negative, guys, I'm just talking from facts and my experience. I was saddened when I left. So when I left, it was 218 in Stocken, they said to me, "You've got to go back to Bullingdon, resettlement, to your local prison." Now, how strange is this? Bullingdon's 60 miles from where I live. It's not my local. My local prison is H&P Coldenley. I got released from H&P Coldenley in September 2014 in my first sentence. Now, back then, that was my local, but then when it come to 2019, Bullingdon's my local all of a sudden. I do feel throughout my whole time in prison, guys, they played games, and I did hold it down. I was enhanced, which is the best thing you can do. You go basic, standard, enhanced in prison, at the levels you are. Basically, when you're enhanced, you get to spend more of your own money, and you earn more money from the prison wages, which are very low, which I've talked about before. So the short and sweet is, guys, I had to go back to Bullingdon, back to that crap where I started that sentence. So this first sentence was New Year's Eve, and the New Year, I think the 2nd of January I actually hit jail because a couple of days in the police cell. So I started in Bullingdon, 2.5 years in Stocken, ended in Bullingdon the last 3 months. That 3 months was my hardest time, because I was getting adjusted to coming out, and the smoking ban, I was smoking a vapor pen, which was very hard, and I was gutted because H&P Stocken was so easy. And it's bad to say that, but I had such an easy routine where I weren't on wings, I was on zones. Like when you go to Bullingdon, the noise hits you like you're back in the jungle in a sense. And when I landed back in Bullingdon, they started letting young offenders on the wing. And they're so noisy and screamy and loudy. I had one guy tap me on the back, this skinny little fella. I said, "Tap me again," and I'm not joking, guys. I said, "I will, like, knock your spark out." And I'm not joking, like, that's exactly what I said. And this guy was that arrogant. He was only a very, very small man. But anyway, yeah, he got told and we shook hands after. But anyway, you know, I said I got IBS. They give me the special menu. So I used to get like fish, salad, soya milk, bananas delivered via the hatch in prison where boys used to get their methadone and paracetamol, whatever. I used to get it once a week. I get a bag, bananas, soya milk. Every time I used to land back on the wing in Bullingdon. So when I went back to Bullingdon, I start back on F wing. Then, let me talk about this. There was a major kickoff. They said, you know, you got to go in a double. Set out sharing again. I said, take the telly away, I'm not going in a double. That's what they did. They took the telly away. Yeah, and I had a radio left. I was listening to my music. They go, you're moving in a double. I said, I'm not. I'm high risk, got 3 months left, I've done years in prison, I want to be on my own, do my own thing. They come with a compromise. They said you can move to C wing, where my cousin Robin was, and but you have to share a cell for 2 weeks, then you will get your single. I thought, oh mate, I'm going on C wing, been in a double for 3 months, give me a headache. Anyway guys, I went to C wing in Bullingdon for 2 weeks in a big double cell where the toilet was behind the door, so you had a bit more privacy. A fella called Hatchet, I think his name was, lovely fella, and they said, Miss Fairs, 2 weeks later, single cell for you. So I went across, I think I was on C1, went across the way to C2 or C3, no, C3 was the enhanced bit on Bullingdon, and C2, yeah, where my cousin Robin was. They said there's a single, but it's right up the top floor. I said, okay, lovely. Went in there, there's blood everywhere. Basically, a man, before me, was in the cell. He was a long-term lifer, and he tried to take his own life, and there's blood everywhere, but he didn't die, thank God. Anyway, I said, I'm not going in there, you've got to clean it up. It's fucking ridiculous. And in prison, guys, you've got to stand up for your rights straight away, or they will violate you. Anyway, they cleaned up the cell. My cousin Robin was on the bottom floor, and I was on the 3s. And it was fantastic to meet my cousin Robin. He spent 40 years behind the door. And I only met him before at a funeral where I shook his hand because he had handcuffs on. I think it was his mother's funeral. That's my cousin. So yeah, that last couple of months was hard. I met some great people in Bullingdon as well. Met some real idiots as well. And obviously for me going from a C category prison back to a B cat. You remember I started in Bullingdon, so it was B cat. In the middle was Stocken C cat, and then back to Bullingdon again for a B. But I ended up getting the church job in Bullingdon as well eventually. And that was an honour. And it makes your time go a lot quicker and easier, having a job and staying focused and trying your best. Working on yourself for your mental health, because a lot of boys that suffer from mental health in prison. The Gypsy Auditor personally didn't, because I'm strong-minded, but it was hard. Not every day was easy, but I tried my best. And I done it, didn't take drugs, drank a few times here and there with that hooch, just for the boys for a laugh. It wasn't a holiday camp. I made my mistakes, feel guilty, and I didn't want to be there. Like nobody else wanted to, but we had to make the best of what we had in front of us, and then eventually we go home. And what happened is, guys, like I said, I spent a lot of time with cousin Robin, and it was beautiful getting to know him. And he's out of prison now as well. He's been out for nearly 2 years, which is beautiful. I met a lot of my cousins in Bullingdon as well, which was lovely, being with my own community, but then associating with other communities as well. I've got a lot of experience. I do love people. I do think I'm a people person. So the Gypsy Auditor definitely didn't get bullied. I'm a big guy, and it ain't just being a big guy. It's about being smart with your words. And I didn't borrow. From my experience in prison, if people borrow, take drugs, that's where the drama arises. I stayed away from all of that. Went gym, went church, read my books. And the first book I ever read was the Bible. And one I didn't believe in. But then, obviously, I do believe now. It was an honour, and I've read probably 1,000 books in that journey of the 6-7 years beyond the door. And anyone that's listening to this, any young boys, I would say, like, if you can, and I know it's hard, because I feel like it every day myself, hold it down. Don't go in there, because not everybody can do it and come out sane. A lot of people might come out insane. So just make your choices wisely, respect your family, and you know, listen to them and take advice from people who's got real experience. You know, I learned a lot from a lot of long-termers in there. They give me a lot of advice, lovely people, as well as my own community. And I hate the tar and the brush that people from being in prison have, but you can half understand it because the newspapers, the TV make it seem a certain way. But the true reality is, it's just normal people in jail who make mistakes. Let's not put aside sex offenders and paedophiles. They're a different kettle of fish. They're an absolute disgrace. But they are generally on different wings, so you don't see them. You know, only when mugs that probation think I am put you in hostels when you got your own place, but they make you live there because you're a risk category and you're MAPA, which I was. and they had to live with them dirty people. But they would, generally with me guys, I kept my head down, didn't speak to these people, don't look at them, because I get very angry and I'll smack them in the mouth. And to be honest with you guys, they're a fucking disgrace. I apologise for swearing, I don't swear a lot. But yeah, that's that. But guys, that's why I don't want to do too many parts on this, because I get a lot of anger. It gives me memories back, and I want to squash it. I feel refreshed, like I've moved on. Thanks to Miss Gypsy and the family, and worked on myself, and you know, that we try our best in life, and we learn from mistakes. I'm not a psychopath, I know I've done wrong. Extreme violence, and I didn't take no one's life away, but you know, I agree in fighting, of course, if you get paid, but I never got paid. The only payment I did was 7 years behind the door for 2 mistakes. And God bless all the victims of my crimes. I've apologised to them and they've forgiven me. And I want to move on, you know. I understand if they're grasses, they put me in jail. That ego has kind of gone from me now, where I don't want revenge on them, and I just want to live my life, do my auditing, do this YouTube channel, which I really love. And I appreciate you all for the support. I know this is a very, very long video. Not a lot of you probably going to be at this stage. I hope this video does well, because this is the last chapter of Gypsy Auditors, and my name Danny Ayres, chapter on my prison journey. Unless it's going to be an audit, you know, this is the last sit down one. And I know you guys have enjoyed the other ones because of the views, and I appreciate that massively. Just to listen to my voice, as Miss Gypsy says, your voice is annoying. Well, I hope she's half joking with that, but you know, things in life, guys, like how time flies. I'm 30 very soon, and I can't believe all my 20s went like that, like a blink of an eye. Big birthdays in prison as well, you know, watching your kids grow up and not seeing your kids, bitterness, your family potentially getting unwell and you can't do nothing. If someone passed away when you're in jail, you know, it's so sad. And you know, we make the mistakes, you got to live with them, and as hard as that sounds, that's how it is. And you know, I don't miss prison at all. The only thing I miss about is the boys in there, the community we had. Because if you work together in jail, you make it a lot easier. It's not in a sense us vs them, which I mean us prisoners vs the officers. It's us vs the bad ones, and it's the same with the auditing. Stand up for your rights, do what you got to do. Auditing's a beautiful game. Big up Live Free, guys, by the way. I know he's still in now. An inspiration to me, so does AB. You know, many others. I always forget their names, but you know, Arthur Taylor. And when I used to hear people talk about their prison stories, I thought I've got a lot to tell as well. It's just if people are interested enough to listen to them. But I'm genuine, guys. That's my life. That's 5 parts on this now from me. H&P Stocken, I'm going to audit it. It's going to be an emotional one. Gypsy might get a little bit choked up, and it's hard to say that because I feel I'm a proper man, but I've got to get my emotions out. I don't hold into things anymore, which I did in prison. I used to hold it in, all the bitterness, and it's all gone now. I'm focusing on this channel. I love doing what I'm doing. I think we need on 6.2k subscribers. It's an absolute honour. Without the people, the channel wouldn't be here. Please do give me your comments, guys, down below. And I think this is in 2 parts because I was recording this and then it cut off, so I've had to use this other phone. But yeah, I'm very proud of this. As mad as it sounds, guys, you know, I'm very happy there. And I think because I found, with me getting baptised and confessing every wrong I've done to the vicars, and it helped me get rid of that bitterness. Forgiving people for grassing on me, and forgiving myself, you know, because I feel guilty. I may beat somebody up, but I do feel bad for doing it, as mad as it sounds. But that's down to my family bringing me up good, you know. I've got a heart, and that's what I'm going to be teaching Gypsy Jr., Danny Jr., all of this stuff. And you know, big up everybody. You know, just because you're in jail don't mean your life's finished. You can come out and do it and start again. You know, that's what I'm trying to do, guys. And when I audit H&P Stocken, it's going to be a very, very long video, and I'm going to tell every story, every experience, and then that chapter's finished with Gypsy Auditor's personal experience with prison and I will focus more on doing every prison around the country and doing people justice, taking anybody's stories on. And if any of you listening now have any stories of any experience of prison, do write to me. And if you want me to take them on and take it to a prison, I will, on your behalf, because the people are powerful. Power in the people. I would say F the prison service, but in a mad way, the prison did change my life for the better, because if I didn't around that time go to jail, when all the violence I was doing, I could end up losing my life or taking somebody's life. And thank God I only went in for GBH intent and GBH, because I've maybe not been here, or I'd have been in the jail for 30 years. So it's crazy to say, but you know, it is what it's done now, and the chapter's over. And yeah, so stay tuned for H&P Stocken audit from the Gypsy coming very soon, and big up Lit 3 for doing H&P Stocken as well. And I'm hoping one day that it'd be lovely if me and Lit 3 did it. Right guys, I've wobbled on for too long, and that's done. But thank you very much, and big up the Gypsy.